Hello, this is Matthew and Mount with part 3, that's right, part 3 of the Venom of the Damned. So let me just start off reading Matthew chapter 23, verses 13 through 39 in the NIV, that's right. I'm going to read the whole section. This is called the 7 woes of the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. That's what we generally call this section. It's because Christ gives 7 woes to the teachers of the law and Pharisees. A woe is sort of like a funeral expression, kind of like these are dead men that we're talking about. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourself do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over land and sea to win a single covenant. And when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much a child of hell as you are. Woe to you, blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, is bound by that oath. You blind fools! Which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing. But anyone who swears by the gift on the altar is bound by that oath. You blind men! Which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it and everything on it. And anyone that swears by the temple swears by it and by the one who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and by the one who sits on it. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give 1/10 of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of the law. The more important matters of the law, that's right. Justice, mercy, and faithfulness. That's right. Those are the most important matters of the law according to Jesus Christ. Or at least the more important matters of the law. Justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. Wow. Jesus is saying that the law actually promotes, or that these are matters of the law that are important to him, or that are actually the more important matters of the law. Justice, mercy, and faithfulness. Very important. Worthy of memorization even. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat but swallow a camel. In other words, you strain out this little sin, but you swallow this huge sin. You take in this huge sin. It's not a position you want to be in. Woe to you, teachers of the law, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup or dish, but the inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. So basically what Jesus is saying is that on the inside, in a person's heart, in the Pharisee's heart specifically, that there's all this greed and self-indulgence, that they want to have lots of things, perhaps that other people have. and they want to maybe consume what other people have. And they want to self-indulge. Self-indulge sort of implying a private indulgence. Sort of like privately indulging on things that a person, quite frankly, should not be indulging in. Blind Pharisees first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be cleaned. So in other words, if the inside of you is clean, meaning you kick out all those snakes, especially all those vipers are damned, and instead of having all this anger in you, and this rage, and this desire to have what other people have in a selfish way, instead of having that, let's say that you, instead of having the self-indulgence, instead what you do is you clean the inside of yourself so that you want other people to be happy, and you want other people to have things, and you want other people to be blessed, and you want other people to have gains, and you seek out for a common good. You desire to serve others. If that's the case, then that would be just the opposite of what Jesus is criticizing the Pharisees for. It says, blind Pharisees first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will also be cleaned. So in other words, your external nature, what people see, the fact that people look at you and they see a good person, that is something that will come naturally, so to speak, if the inside of you has been cleaned by Christ. If your hearts have been sprinkled by the blood of the Lamb, meaning the crucifixion of Christ has been applied to your life. The blood that you consume in the Lord's Supper, and the flesh that you consume in the Lord's Supper, becomes very internalized to you, and you have faith in that and the resurrection, the judgment to come, that through that cleansing, that hope of eternal rewards for doing what what God tells you that you need to be doing, that actually has a external cleansing as well. People look at you and they notice that there's something going on. They see you as clean as opposed to filthy. So, there again, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean. Wow. In the same way, on the outside you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Wow. So, basically you could be a vessel for the dead. You could be a vessel for those things that are indeed cut off, spirits that are cut off. And that's not something you want to have. You don't want to be a vessel for a bunch of things that are cut off from Christ. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourself that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started. Wow. You snakes, you brood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore I am sending you prophets, sages, and teachers. That's right, prophets, sages, and teachers. Some of them you will kill and crucify, others you will flog in your synagogues and pursue from town to town. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood that has been shed on earth, from the blood of righteous Abel to the blood of Zachariah, son of Berechiah, I believe, whom was murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you, all this will come on this generation. Wow. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you. How often have I longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, and you were not willing. Wow. Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That's right. So what this tells us very specifically is that those who had every dead and unclean thing inside of them would brood of vipers. The brood of vipers. Those dead and unclean things, those evil spirits inside of them would be vipers that would spring out and inject their poison into others. Sort of like creating a dead thing to feast on, for demons to feast on. And it's a very sick kind of system. It's almost like a vampire, if you will. You know, the viper has these little fangs, and and basically bites, injects the poison, waits until the creature dies, and then feasts. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. And so I thank you for watching. Hope you'll continue on with part 4. May God be praised.